Johnson.
Thank you. It's notable that our third equally important branch of government, the judicial branch, has submitted a budget request totaling $9.4 billion for fiscal year 2026. And I will note that this committee, in its big ugly bill that passed out a couple of months ago, allocated $45 billion for the construction of new detention facility beds in private for-profit detention facilities under contract to the U.S. government to detain immigrants. $45 billion to $9.7 billion, and we would question that. Very modest request. It's astounding. Judge St. Eve, as you know, this is not the Appropriations Committee. We, on the House Judiciary Committee, have no control over funding, but how the judiciary functions, from whether Americans get a speedy trial to whether a judge is afraid for his or her safety, is predicated on sufficient resources for the judicial branch. Could you explain for us what having the courts adequately funded means for the constitutional functions of the judicial branch, and conversely, how frozen funding can snowball into bigger problems for the rule of law?
Well, having sufficient funding is essential for us to carry out our constitutional duties. The courts have to be funded for the judges to do their work and carry out their duties. I'm going to focus on what you touched on earlier, Ranking Member Johnson, the defender services. They are part of the judiciary's budget. And under the Sixth Amendment of the Constitution, all defendants charged with a crime are entitled to representation. And over 90% of criminal defendants have appointed counsel. It's less than 10% of criminal defendants who can pay for their own counsel. Those appointments and lawyers come from the defender services as well as from court-appointed attorneys under the Criminal Justice Act, or CJA attorneys. Because of the CR in 25, the defender services has been under a hiring freeze for 23 of the last 27 months. They are working at approximately 93% of their work measurement formula. The CJA attorneys we are very concerned about because we rely on them for appointments when the federal defenders can't cover it for one reason or another. And we anticipate that as of now, it's July 7th or July 11th. Previously, we thought we'd have enough money until July 23rd, but that has moved up. But our fund is going to run out of money to reimburse the CJA appointed attorneys in just a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is an imminent threat to the ability for the courts to operate in a constitutional way, and I know that this chief executive doesn't care about the Constitution. Let me ask Judge Scudder, during Judge St. Eve's testimony before the House Appropriations Subcommittee, she spoke of technology as a cost-saving measure, specifically encouraging more use of electronic research and sharing of library materials and facilitating virtual meetings. Could you briefly explain for us how investing in functional IT systems will help the judiciary with its resources in the long term? And I apologize for interrupting Judge Eve.
Yes, we invest a lot of resources in IT to help make our work more efficient. Some of what may be embedded in your questions are efficiency upticks that we realize through enhancements in different applications like legal research. I think in response to Representative Klein's question, this is where AI on the horizon presents efficiency opportunities for our courts. The broader point that your question gets at is we, just like Congress, just like the executive branch, and just like the private sector, we need to regularly invest in our systems to keep them modernized. When a system becomes outdated or is operating against a very antique infrastructure to it, the catch-up cost is enormous. And the cyber risk that is often injected by allowing IT to become outdated creates real risks to us. We're organized around a very sound strategy that we received a lot of input on. Our plan is good. We need the resources, and we need to stay organized and focused within our own branch in achieving our objectives.
Thank you, Judge, and I yield back.
Thank you, gentleman. We now recognize the gentlelady from California, Ms. Lofgren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.